Since time immemorial, body itches have carried a meaning beyond mere physical impulse. In ancient cultures like those of the Egyptians and Celts, itches were seen as signs, divine messages revealing the connection between body, mind, and spirit. For the Egyptians, an itch could be interpreted as a warning from the gods, a communication about the balance, or imbalance, of personal life. This discomfort, which to many might seem like a fleeting annoyance, was viewed as a reflection of the invisible movements of the universe, something to be embraced and deciphered. In Celtic tradition, it was believed that the human body did not just inhabit the world but communicated directly with it, responding to the invisible forces of nature. Itches were, for them, a kind of organic writing, a way for the soul to express itself through the flesh. This deep understanding of the body as a vehicle for spirituality offers a broader view of our existence. We are not just individuals living in a physical world. We are also receivers of messages that come from subtler dimensions, and these messages often express themselves through what we feel on our own skin. Philosophically, the body is like a tangible extension of the mind and soul. Plato, for example, spoke of the inseparable union between body and spirit, suggesting that every bodily experience carried an underlying spiritual truth. Itches, like other sensations, don't just occur on the physical plane. They are the manifestation of something deeper, something we may not directly see but can feel and interpret. They call on us to look beyond the visible, to understand that behind the discomfort lies a message waiting to be understood. History shows us that itches were never merely a biological event. They were understood as responses to interactions with the invisible world, a sign that something within us, or around us, needed to be seen and acknowledged. If we observe carefully, we realize that this approach is far from outdated. Even in modern times, what we feel in our bodies still reflects our internal journey, showing that the interpretations of the ancients carry a wisdom that resonates even today. In many different cultures, there is a fascinating consensus: the connection between bodily sensations and the spiritual messages they convey. What might seem like a casual annoyance to many, in various spiritual traditions around the world, itches are interpreted as omens or invitations to introspection. Hinduism, for example, treats itches in the hands with particular symbolism. If the right palm itches, it means money is coming. If it's the left hand, it may indicate spending. It's a sign of the flow of material energy, showing that our hands are channels that both receive and give. These small signs are understood as direct reflections of our interactions with the world and as clues to pay more attention to the flow of energy around us. Among the Celts, there was a belief that an itch on the feet represented an imminent journey, as if the feet, already restless, knew they would soon have to walk in new directions. These beliefs seem to have arisen from the intimate observation of the relationship between human beings and their environment. For the Celts, who lived in close harmony with nature, the body was not just a physical vehicle but a mirror of the cycles and paths of life. Foot itches were seen as a whisper of destiny, indicating that changes were coming and that it was time to prepare for the unknown. These cultural beliefs, although they may seem distant in time, reflect a profound and intuitive knowledge of the relationship between the physical and the spiritual, a relationship that remains relevant in modern life. We live in a world where we are constantly disconnected from our bodies, often treating any symptom as something to be eliminated without listening to what it has to tell us. However, by revisiting these ancient interpretations, we can reconnect with this old wisdom that teaches us the body is a guide, and that every sensation we experience has a purpose. So perhaps it's time we look at these itches not as mere annoyances but as reminders. Each itch could be a way for the universe to touch us, telling us that something else is happening, something deserving of our attention. Instead of scratching and forgetting, we can choose to feel and reflect. Which part of our body is calling for attention? What message lies hidden there, waiting to be deciphered? Ancient traditions like those of the Celts and Hindus offer us valuable clues to see the body as an instrument of spiritual connection, showing that even in a frantic world, there is always a path to self-knowledge and to understanding the subtle messages the universe sends us. Itches, beyond their possible cultural interpretations, can be deeply connected to our energy centers, the chakras. Each chakra, a specific energy vortex of the body, carries with it physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects, and itches in certain areas can be clear signs that something there needs attention. The crown chakra, located at the top of the head, is the center of our connection with the divine and universal wisdom. When we feel itches in this region, it may be a sign that we are experiencing a spiritual opening, an invitation from the universe to receive more light, more intuition, more awareness. It's as if the cosmos itself is calling our attention to the fact that we are ready to expand our perception. This itch may be accompanied by a desire to reflect, meditate, or connect with something greater than ourselves. In many spiritual traditions, an itch on the head is seen as an energetic download, a moment when we are called to raise our vibrations and open ourselves to new realities that previously seemed unreachable. Another example is the throat chakra, located in the throat, the center of personal expression and communication. Itches or discomfort in this region can be a reflection of unspoken words, of emotions that need to be expressed but remain trapped out of fear or insecurity. When the throat itches, perhaps it's the body alerting us. We need to express ourselves, we need to say what we have long kept inside. The itch is a reminder that our words have power and that holding back what needs to be released can create not only energetic but also emotional blockages. To consciously and chakrally address these itches, we can turn to simple yet powerful spiritual practices. Meditation is one of them. When we meditate, we allow energy to flow freely through the chakras, dissolving blockages and bringing clarity about what each sensation is telling us. Visualizing colored lights corresponding to the chakras, violet for the crown chakra, blue for the throat, can help balance these centers and reduce physical discomfort, turning it into a moment of deep connection. Crystals are also powerful allies in this process. Amethyst, for example, is known for its ability to open the crown chakra and bring spiritual peace. Keeping an amethyst near the top of the head, especially during moments of itching, can help calm the energy and open a path to greater spiritual understanding. Lapis lazuli, with its blue vibration, helps unblock the throat chakra, promoting the courage needed to express oneself authentically. Thus, itches are not merely meaningless physical events. When viewed through the lens of chakras, they become visible, palpable manifestations of the state of our energy. They are invitations to take better care of our inner energy, to be more attentive to what we are accumulating and what we need to release. They are subtle reminders that our body and soul are intrinsically connected, and that every sensation, however small, has something important to reveal to us. Emotions, like energies, find in the body a faithful reflection of their presence and intensity. Itches often mirror the emotions we insist on ignoring. The body, in its silent wisdom, speaks to us through sensations, and itches emerge as tangible expressions of feelings we cannot translate into words. Stress, for instance, may manifest as a persistent itch, as if the body wants to expel accumulated tension, bringing it to the surface, trying to make us deal with what we'd rather avoid. Similarly, anxiety, that restlessness that erodes inner peace and feeds on uncertain futures, may find an outlet in itches. The skin, acting as a boundary between the self and the world, becomes the stage for the battles we fight internally. When emotions are too intense to contain, the body feels it. Itches are a way for the soul to knock on the door of our consciousness, calling us to take a closer look at what we are really experiencing, what is really troubling us. Often, repressed feelings such as anger, sadness, or even desires that remain hidden, are pushed to the back of our conscious mind, where we think they can no longer affect us. But the body knows. It always knows. The itch then emerges as an expression of these unprocessed emotions, as an organic language of what still needs to be heard, seen, recognized. If we can see each itch as a form of inner dialogue, we can begin to establish a kinder and more conscious relationship with our own body. Consider itches as signals of an ongoing deeper conversation. Maybe it's the body telling us that we need to stop, breathe, and observe what is happening in our emotional world. When we ignore our emotions, the body has no choice but to express them. Every itch, every discomfort, is an opportunity to reconnect with oneself, to look within and ask, what am I really feeling? What am I not allowing to surface? We can even create a special moment to listen to the body. When an itch arises, instead of reacting automatically and simply scratching, we can stop and reflect. What was happening in my day? What emotions were present when this sensation began? This simple pause, this moment of mindfulness, can transform something that seemed insignificant into a journey of self-discovery. By observing these sensations, we are indeed honoring the wisdom of our body and creating a deeper connection with our own soul. Thus, itches become more than just physical impulses. They become keys to a broader understanding of who we are and what we feel. They ask us to stop, to listen, to be honest with ourselves. Because ultimately, the body and soul are partners in a constant dance, and physical discomfort is nothing but a misstep that needs adjustment so we can dance in harmony again. Personal stories have the power to connect us, to make the abstract palpable and real. Many of us have gone through moments when the body speaks in unexpected ways, and hearing other stories about their journeys can help us better understand the messages our own body is sending us. Let's share some of these stories, testimonies that illustrate how itches, so common and often disregarded, became turning points in great personal transformations. Marta, for instance, was in a transitional period of her life. She had just lost her job and faced great uncertainty about her future. It was a time of anguish and doubt. Curiously, she began to experience a constant itch on her arms, something she couldn't ignore. She tried conventional treatments, creams and ointments, but nothing seemed to work. One day, while talking with a friend who practiced yoga, it was suggested that the itch could be something beyond the physical. It could be her body asking for action, for movement, perhaps indicating that she needed to free herself from the emotional chains keeping her bound to fear of the unknown. That was when Marta decided to take the itch as a message. She began practicing meditation and reflected on her repressed emotions, which led her to realize that her fear of failure was preventing her from taking the next step. The itch, which previously seemed like a mere irritation, now was understood as a call for change. Marta found the courage to reinvent herself, embraced a new project, and eventually the itching disappeared, not because she had found the right ointment, but because she had finally found the courage to hear what her soul was trying to say. Another interesting testimony is Joao's. He was always a very reserved person, someone who never liked to expose himself or express his opinions publicly. He started experiencing an intense itch in his throat and neck during a particularly turbulent time at work when many decisions were made without his input. It was a constant sensation that seemed to worsen whenever he held back his opinions and passively accepted situations that bothered him. After many months of discomfort, Joao was advised by a therapist to work on expressing his emotions. The itch was a clear sign that his throat chakra was blocked. There was an urgent need to express what he felt. Joao began attending personal development groups, where he gradually felt safe to speak, to express himself. He also started journaling, releasing words he never dared to say. Slowly the itching began to fade. The physical sensation was not just a symptom, it was the reflection of a soul needing to be freed from silence. These stories illustrate that often our body becomes the spokesperson for what our mind cannot or does not want to consciously process. They show us that there is a deep wisdom residing in every cell, in every sensation, and that if we're willing to listen, really listen, we can find answers that guide us toward a more authentic and fulfilling life. Listening to the body is not a skill we develop overnight. It requires practice, patience, and above all, a deep respect for oneself. By listening to these stories, we can be inspired to be more attentive to the signs our own skin sends us. Maybe the next itch we feel won't be just an annoyance. Maybe it will be an invitation to change, to action, to expression, to freedom. Each of us has a personal story that needs to be lived, and sometimes the starting point for that story is simply listening to what our body has to say. Spiritual practices have the power to transform simple physical sensations into opportunities for self-knowledge and growth. Itches, when seen as messages from the body and spirit, can be worked with in ways that take us beyond the discomfort and connect us to inner wisdom. One of the most accessible and effective ways to spiritually address these sensations is by using herbal baths. Herbs such as rosemary, lavender, and rue have powerful energetic properties. Baths prepared with these plants help cleanse not only the physical body but also the energy around it, dissolving possible blockages that may be causing the itching. Imagine the bath as a cleansing ritual, where each drop that touches the skin takes with it the accumulated energetic charge, allowing for a light and revitalized rebirth. Another essential practice for transforming itches into wisdom is mindfulness. The practice of mindfulness consists of observing each sensation with a curious eye, without judgment or reactivity. When an itch arises, it's natural that our first reaction is to scratch and get rid of the discomfort as quickly as possible. But what if, instead, we pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and simply observe the itch? By doing so, we allow the mind to be present in the here and now, bringing intentional focus to what the body is telling us. It's an exercise in patience and trust in the message the skin is transmitting. Instead of fighting the sensation, we embrace it, trying to understand its origin, its story, its purpose. Practices like guided visualization also play an important role in this context. We can imagine the itch as concentrated energy that needs to be moved. Close your eyes and visualize a golden light enveloping the itching area, visualizing this light cleansing and healing the region. This simple act of imagining the energy flow brings a state of calm, allowing the sensation to be reinterpreted as part of a healing process. The visualization not only relieves discomfort but also strengthens the connection between mind and body, reinforcing that we have power over our own physical and energetic experience. Mantras and positive affirmations are other powerful tools for spiritually dealing with itches. Repeating a mantra such as, "I am at peace with my body and my mind," can help reframe the experience of itching, creating a mental state of acceptance and harmony. When we repeat mantras, we create a vibration that reflects throughout our being, helping to bring balance where there was discomfort. Lastly, self-massage with essential oils is a way to treat the body with respect and love. Oils like lavender, chamomile, and eucalyptus are known for their calming properties, both physically and energetically. Applying these oils with slow, gentle movements to the itching area not only relieves the sensation but also teaches us to have a more caring relationship with our own body. Self-massage is a way to communicate to the body that we are present, that we listen to it, and that we respect every message it sends us. So instead of seeing itches as mere annoyances, we can view them as opportunities to practice everyday spirituality. They are invitations to moments of pause, reflection, and self-care. With practices like herbal baths, mindfulness, visualizations, mantras, and self-massage, we learn to transform discomfort into wisdom, using each sensation as a guide that leads us to a state of greater balance and understanding of our spiritual journey. Itches often arise during times of great transition, like an echo from the universe resonating directly in our body. Job changes, breakups, or even starting a new project bring with them an energetic load that we often cannot fully process consciously. The itches that appear during these times are like a spiritual reminder that we are crossing a threshold, an invisible line that separates the old from the new, what we knew from what is yet to come. These moments of transition are filled with intense, often contradictory emotions. A job change, for example, can bring both excitement and fear. While the conscious mind tries to deal with logic, the body finds its own ways to respond to this energy in motion. The itch arises as a call to awareness, as if the body is telling us, "Pay attention, something is changing deeply and I need you to be present for it." By accepting these itches as a natural part of the transition process, rather than seeing them as something to be simply ignored or treated, we can integrate them into our growth journey. During a breakup, the itch may appear in areas like the chest or arms, regions associated with affection, touch, and the expression of love. This could be an indication of what our soul needs to release, a final energetic trace of the bond that is breaking. The body reflects the grieving of the heart, and the itch becomes a way to bring to the surface feelings we may not be able to put into words. The same happens when we're starting a new project. The expectation, anxiety, the desire to succeed, all create an internal turmoil, and the itch becomes a physical sign that energy is pulsating, ready to be directed. It's important, during these moments of transition, to realize that the itch is not there to bother or distract us but to remind us to be fully present in the process. It calls our attention to the need to not resist changes but rather surrender to the natural flow of life. The more we fight these sensations, the more intense they become. Instead, by accepting the itches as part of the transformation process, we open space for healing and growth. One practice that can help in these moments is conscious breathing. When we feel an itch arise, instead of automatically scratching, we can stop, close our eyes, and breathe deeply, focusing all our attention on inhaling and exhaling. This act of conscious breathing not only calms the body but also helps us accept the message it is sending us. Inhaling and exhaling, imagining the itchy energy dissolving and spreading throughout the body, helps us enter a state of acceptance, of flowing with the transition we are experiencing. Besides breathing, visualizations can be particularly powerful in these moments. Visualizing the itch as concentrated energy that expands and flows, like a wave dissipating in the ocean, helps transform discomfort into a movement of release. We can also imagine lights, such as green for healing and transformation, flowing through the affected areas, helping restore energetic balance. Thus, itches during times of transition are like gentle touches from the universe, reminding us that growth always involves discomfort. They are signs that we are leaving behind an old version of ourselves and approaching something new, something more aligned with who we are becoming. By accepting these signs, we allow our body and soul to walk in harmony, navigating transitions consciously and connected to the greater purpose of our journey. The body is a map of the soul. Every sign, every sensation, every itch can be seen as a point on this map, guiding us to a deeper understanding of who we are. This philosophical perspective, that the body is a tangible representation of the soul, allows us to look at itches not as mere physical annoyances but as rich symbols indicating where we should focus our attention. Just as a map indicates paths and directions, the body, through its sensations, indicates what is happening in our inner world, what needs healing, care, expression. Holistic philosophy understands the body and soul as intertwined entities, parts of a single reality. The itches we feel are, in a way, arrows pointing to areas of our life that demand more attention. Imagine the body as a vast energy field, where every sensation carries a message. The itch is like a flag planted at a specific point on the map, telling us, here lies something important, something to be discovered. If we regard these sensations as guides rather than annoyances, we begin to see that the body is actually an ally. It is always trying to help us understand what our soul wants to communicate. For example, an itch in the chest may be a call to take a closer look at matters of the heart. There may be feelings of love unexpressed or sorrows unprocessed. The chest, where the heart chakra resides, is a point of intense emotional connection. When this area itches, it may be an invitation to cultivate self-compassion and make room for forgiveness, not just of others but also of oneself. The body shows us there is a need to embrace what is hurting, bringing the sensation to the surface as a way to make us pay attention. Each part of the body, then, becomes a territory on this map of the soul, and itches are like a signal that this territory needs to be explored more deeply. Itching in the hands, for instance, might suggest there is an energy of action that needs to manifest, that we are ready to get our hands dirty, to create, transform, act. Hands are our tools in the physical world, and when they itch, perhaps it's the body indicating there's something within us that wants to materialize, that needs to move from thought to form in the real world. Reflecting on the body as a map of the soul is a way to honor our physical and spiritual existence as one. We can choose to see itches as opportunities to grow, learn, and connect more deeply with who we truly are. It takes courage to open up to these messages and willingness to explore the territories they point to. Sometimes these explorations lead us to uncomfortable areas of our psyche, to unresolved pains, to hidden fears. But that is precisely where the value of this practice lies. Looking at the body's sensations is, in a way, a journey into the unknown, into the parts of us that need healing. The body, then, is not just a vehicle we use to move through the world. It is a living reflection of our soul, and itches, these small, persistent signs, are clues guiding us along the paths of self-knowledge. When we allow ourselves to listen without haste or judgment, we open doors to a deeper understanding of our own essence. Each itch can be seen as an invitation, a call to approach our inner truth, to recognize that we are more than flesh and bones. We are spiritual beings living a human experience, and the body, with all its sensations, is a guide that helps us live this journey as fully as possible. The body is always communicating with us, sending subtle signals that reflect our inner journey and our interaction with the world around us. Itches, often seen as mere discomforts, can reveal themselves to be rich in meaning when we choose to listen with an open heart. They are invitations to slow down, look deeper, and question what our body and our soul are trying to tell us. Along this path, we explored how ancient cultures understood itches as divine messages, interpreting them as reflections of the balance between body, mind, and spirit. We covered beliefs from different traditions that recognize the relationship between specific itches and the body's energy centers, such as the chakras, indicating where energy needs more care or release. We realized that emotions and itches are closely connected, showing that repressed feelings often find a way to express themselves through our skin. The personal stories we shared illustrate how itches can arise during moments of change, becoming turning points in journeys of self-discovery and transformation. These accounts remind us of the importance of listening to the body with attention and care, as it is in this process of deep listening that we often find the path to more authentic growth aligned with our purposes. Spiritual practices such as herbal baths, mindfulness, mantras, and self-massage were suggested as ways to connect with the body and transform uncomfortable sensations into moments of wisdom and self-care. They are opportunities to transform physical discomfort into a loving dialogue between our inner and outer self. The itches that arise during moments of transition, in turn, are signs that we are going through important phases of transformation, and accepting these sensations can help us navigate challenges and uncertainties in a more conscious and peaceful way. Finally, we reflected on the body as a map of the soul, each itch being a point that indicates where we need to focus our attention, where we need to learn, grow, and transform. This view of the body as a reflection of the soul allows us to recognize that every sensation is significant, that every itch is a whisper of our essence, an invitation to a deeper connection with oneself. I invite you then to pay more attention to your body, to every sensation that arises. Perhaps it's worth keeping a journal of the itches, noting where and when they occur, what you're feeling at that moment. By doing so, you will begin to notice patterns, start recognizing the body as the powerful guide it truly is. Hearing these messages can bring profound wisdom and self-knowledge that goes far beyond what the surface might suggest. Remember always, the next signal your body gives you, be it an itch or a shiver, is an invitation to look deeper, to listen to the voice of your soul. And if you like this content and want to explore more about body spirituality and self-discovery, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss any of the next chapters of this spiritual journey.